Does anybody want to comment on anything? I want to, questions that I had, going through all this. I don't know about you, but parts of this I kind of got crying, about how God is so good to keep his promises to us and to bring us to redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember a time when you were totally selfish?
Oh, Lord.
Remember your 20s and 30s?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's all about me, isn't it?
Yes.
How can I get ahead? How can I have a great career? How can I have a family? How can I do all these things that we were never meant to do? Yeah. Did anybody fall for that as a young person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all about me.
Yeah. Yeah. It totally selfishness,
We all did. I mean, really, your teen years, especially because your teen years, you had to be self-sufficient totally yet that like your teen years, you are the ultimate narcissist.
I think my 20s was when I was my worst.
It's indoctrinated in our society.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
I remember my mother said, you need to get a good education because nobody can take care of you but you. You've got to do this. You've got to be this. You've got to go. You got to do. She went nuts and so did I eventually. You can't do it all and you can't live by the world's rules, can you?
No.
And you think about our culture, one is at risk. When you see that this study was done, 15 years ago?
Wow.
I was trying to remember. Yeah, I mean,
Here's your whole of it. Yeah.
think about this. I've been saying, for one thing, I've said since the 80s, why are we taking manufacturing out of the United States?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember that? And I was like, have they gone crazy? Because then you become dependent on other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that this country would shut down if China quit shipping things to us?
Mm-hmm.
You could not get your blood pressure medicine because it's all made in China.
Mm.
Almost all the clothing is made in Taiwan or China.
Mm-hmm.
Cars. Well, we have already seen what happens to the chips, haven't we?
Food.
Still waiting on those.
Food. Yeah. How much food do we import from China? It's
and
insane.
Baby formula.
Well, baby formula, that was America's own fault. Because they shut down a company and then the cans to put the baby formula in, it was the problem. It was one of the problems. Couldn't get the cans to put the baby formula because the cans came from China.
Oh, oh, good.
Hello, think.
Yeah.
And now we're quibbling with China, with the crazy guy. I mean, it's where do you think we're headed?
Oh, well, in time.
Because this country, I mean, I don't know. It is, how about the policy going beyond your original expectations?
Ugh. Try living in California.
Oh, honey, I feel so bad for you.
I know.
I
feel like I'm on the firing lines. I want to escape like everybody else, but God,
we sure are on the firing lines and in fires, literally.
Yes.
Wow.
I read that Geico shut down all their insurance companies in California.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yep. Every single one pulled out.
Amazon has laid off 100,000 people.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that. Oh.
Of course not.
If you are also inclined, my active duty Marine son was given orders last night and he will be home this weekend because he will be leaving within the next week to go to an undisclosed location in the Asia area.
Oh.
And he was supposed to be at a totally different location and he was just home for a month, but he was supposed to be somewhere else. So he now is basically coming home to grab some things because he will be overseas within the next week.
Mm.
I'm just saying that that should
It is
be
really
a huge,
heating up,
that-
and
Yep.
a huge wake up call for all of you that he just in the last week had different changes of what was Monday. He was going to have one thing. Thursday night, like when he left here last weekend after a month off, he had one plan.
Order.
Last night he called me at 9:00 and said a whole different plan, and he will be leaving next week. So nothing in the military works that fast unless it's
serious.
serious. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's
When is
they're a
he in?
hurry up
When
and
is
wait.
he in? Is he Army, Marine?
he's a
what?
Marine.
Marine.
He's a
Marine. Yeah.
Ooh.
Marines will be the first to move.
Yep.
My son used to be a Marine, so like when Iraq happened, he was.
Yes. So you know that if things changed from a Monday to a Thursday
Yeah, it's fast.
that quickly, that's not
I'm surprised it
not
took him that
typical.
long.
but that's not typical military timing. Like,
It takes
you know,
them forever to get anything
Exactly.
done.
Yeah. Hurry up and wait mode. I know it.
that truly is that is the hurry up and wait. So when he called last night at 9, I could tell his voice. He goes, yeah, Mom, I'm gonna be home tomorrow. I'm gonna come pick up some sea bags. And I'm like, really? That's different. You were supposed to be leaving in December. And he's like, oh yeah, no, now I'm going from a different base. He's going to a totally different base in California this week and
To ship out.
in September overseas. And I'm like,
He was made a coloss on
So.
this.
Wow.
What, Laura?
I was just talking about Pelosi in Taiwan has stirred all this up.
Well-
bingo.
Well, a lot of it also is the failure of the administration to say anything.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
She has the right to go wherever she wants.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, when it's your son who's now being changed locations, it's a little bit more close to home. So
Absolutely.
these end times that Beth is speaking of could not be at a more accurate temperament in our country or
Yes.
world, for that matter, our world.
Well, let's just look at end times.
Ugh.
Does anybody know what this picture is?
Yes.
I like the show. It was cute. Their theology is all wrong, but poor little Lucifer.
Show.
What show was it? Who
What
is
show?
that?
Lucifer.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
It's
It
funny.
was on KBPS.
It's Netflix.
Oh, okay. But it was on KPBS for a while.
I don't know what channel that is.
That's a public channel.
Mm,
They had it on a public without paying. They had it.
that's odd. Well, aren't
Yeah.
you? I hope you appreciate that I changed the homework study where you did this study before she talked on it. Did that confuse
Yeah.
anybody?
No?
No.
Okay. I like to have everything concise. I'm weird
Mhm.
like that. And I know there's no homework for this week, but I'm going to ask you to do something, okay?
Okay.
I want you to read Revelation, at least chapters 4 through 22.
4 through 22.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, might as well read it all then.
Well, 1, 2, and 3 is about the 7 churches and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to read them, that's fine, but at least read 4 through 22. Okay, because we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to try to put an outline of Revelation, throwing in Daniel and other things. I'm going to try. All right. It'll take a lot of work, but so you can see when it is. But on day 1, we looked at Antiochus III the Great. What facts were foretold about him in Daniel 11 through 15 through 19? Just real quick.
No one will stand against him.
Mm-hmm. No one will stand. Lots of war.
Yeah, that he, because he lost, he couldn't get to the south. He's gonna focus in the beautiful land.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have power to destroy it.
Yeah.
I like the, he shall give him the daughter of women to destroy it, but she shall not stand with him or be for him. Because,
Yeah.
son of man and daughter of women, I had never heard that before.
He will stumble and fall and be found no more.
Mm-hmm.
Any alternatives? Now, this was in on page 216 of your workbook. Have you ever had an alternative savior?
When you fall in love, you feel that way.
And that's exactly when I did. Yeah. I idolized him, and he did totally devastate me, and he was totally disappointing. Has anybody else besides the enemy ever learned that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Diane, you should, yeah.
I just
know
don't
her.
want to think about it.
I know, right?
Ugh.
It's hard when you sit there and you depend on, like, how do people depend on the government to take care of them?
Well, doesn't do me good.
No.
On day 2, we had a vile king's succession. What did the angel forecast regarding the heart of the king of the north in Daniel 11:28?
He will do as he pleases.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
evil.
He will have great riches. And he, in his mind, sit against the holy covenant.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how Beth brought up, what does the end of sacrifice look like in today? Wasn't that interesting?
Yeah,
Yes,
it was.
it was. We are the
Because-
living.
Yeah, because I was always taught, well, Israel has to initiate sacrifice again for that to come true. And then I thought, really? Does anybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because my husband always says that, well, they'll have to institute, sacrificing again. And I've never really understood that, but I like the symbolism of what she used. The us as living sacrifice.
Living sacrifice.
Yes.
So to tear us away from our worship or our
Mhm.
commitment to God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I found that really, really interesting, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
how many
that was
things-
very helpful.
Because just think in your life, how many things take you away from doing different things?
Yes.
Always.
Yes, if we
So
are
it's
too
like-
busy to take time to read the
Yeah.
Bible or to get on our knees in a private place or whatever, if we're too busy to do that, where is our sacrifice to God? We're not doing it then.
As he pleases.
Ben and I have been talking about wanting to do not necessarily mission trips, but different kinds of things that we can do to help people. For
Mhm.
instance, I got an email from Samaritan's Purse. They needed volunteers to go to Kentucky
Yeah.
and, help people in Kentucky. I thought, man, if I didn't have this Bible study and Ben didn't have this surgery, we could have gone.
Mhm.
And, things like that come up, and it's like, I want to do things like that.
Mhm. And they have programs, different programs.
Oh, there's
Or-
millions of different
Oh my God.
programs,
Mhm.
that we can still do. You don't have to physically be strong or be a nurse. They love nurses and doctors. And for all those nurses and doctors, you are wonderful. And I'm so glad you're here, but I can't stand blood. I can't, I just, but I can cook. I can hand out food. I can do
Yeah.
accounting,
I was just
Mhm.
going to say, but you can cook for the doctors and nurses, or you can serve the food. To the doctors and nurses, because it's like,
Yeah, exactly. you know, like Ben brought up, he says, you know, one thing that's really impressed him was this one outfit, have this traveling, like soup kitchen in a, you know, like a taco stand, you know what I'm, what do you call
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
yeah.
you know, and they go and they feed the people that's working there, or feeding people who need food, you know, or stuff like that. He says, that's just so cool, you know? And, you know, but you got to be able to hurt some too.
Yeah.
But have you ever done anything and you have more satisfaction than anything you ever did for yourself?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
You know, when I was working with people suffering from addictions and stuff, you know, people would walk up to me years later, you know, and say, you know, I remember something you said and it changed my life. And I'm going, when I say, when I do this time, you know, and you just think they're, and you know, that's what Beth was talking about when she goes, you're going to see the glory that you presented on earth.
Mhm.
And I'm going, wow, that's powerful. One or a few ways that Satan can take advantage of someone, namely you or me, who feels humiliated or embarrassed over something.
He will try to join us if we don't go against God. So he will try to join us to discourage you. Yeah. And
Yeah, it's a
fix us.
discouragement, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I really liked in the book, that'd be on page 220, where she talks about that. And
Mhm.
she talks about venting our feelings to God rather than, because when you feel that embarrassment, that humiliation, often it turns to anger and you want to spew it out on somebody.
Mhm.
You know, and she talks about venting all that to God rather than, you know, your spouse or your friend or your child or
Mhm.
whatever. I thought that was a really, really good point because God is approachable. You know,
Yes.
we can do that.
And I
Have you-
think that sometimes it's, you know, when we get in those embarrassing situations, humiliation, we pull ourselves away and we become isolated. And I
Yeah.
think that's what, you know, Satan really takes advantage of us.
Exactly.
That's true.
I have written down, knock you when you're down.
Yes.
Didn't he do that? Didn't he want to
Yes.
just knock you when you're down? Well, let's just make
Mhm.
her feel worse.
Mhm.
True.
Yeah.
What other kind of things did you all write down on that? This is on page 220, little suitcase. I don't know why she has a suitcase there, but that's reflections that she has. Did anybody else want to share what they wrote down?
I put
I
there
wrote shame.
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 Uh-huh.
I put
If-
that
if-
he will remind us of our failures and tell us that we are done.
Oh, isn't he good at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found when I was working with kids that they would immediately lie and get into a pattern of lying to cover up something that they were embarrassed about or ashamed of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I find that that's true of adults also.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were talking about this in when I was working at Women of Hope. And I sat there and go, this question about, because you know, you become an addict, you lie about everything, you know,
Mhm.
and to hide it. You don't want anyone to really see how bad you really are, you know.
Mhm.
I go,
Mhm.
just think, what would
Yeah.
it be like if you didn't tell a lie and you could actually say the truth? You wouldn't have to remember, well, what did I tell them? What did I make up for this excuse, you know? And everybody
Uh-huh.
kind of looked at me to go, how do you do that, Denise? And I go, you just tell the truth.
Mhm.
Yeah. Much easier.
And it's freeing, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise you have all these clouds hanging over you, don't you?
Mhm.
But you know, today what we see all the time is it's always somebody else's fault.
Oh Lord.
I can't think of a show on television that they don't teach people, children, how to do that.
Mhm.
That's so true. Honestly, take accountability for yourself has now turned into, let me sit here and tell you how you triggered me because this is your problem.
Mhm.
I'll appreciate you saying
Pardon me?
But
Yeah, that blame game. I just,
Well, you see parents doing it all the time when the teacher says something about their child and that they're immediately thinking, well, it's not their fault. It's, you didn't teach that correctly, or you didn't do this, or somebody didn't do that. It's just everywhere.
yeah, and then you have the reverse where teachers are telling their kids to lie to their parents.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I would have a hissy fit on that one.
Mhm.
No. Good for her.
Day 3, I like day 3. Well, the arrogant enemy of God.
yeah.
According to verse 36, what will this self-exalting king say? This is talking about the Antichrist, okay?
Yeah.
So what's he going to be like?
And that's 22.
Arrogant. He's going to exalt himself as better than God.
Well, he wants to be God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you look at 2 Thessalonians, okay, chapter 2, it says about this guy, apostasy comes first. The man of lawlessness will reveal himself, the son of destruction. Exalts self above all gods. He takes his seat in the temple of God. Ascend with Satan, powers and signs and false warnings. He's described in Daniel's vision as a sea, as he comes out of the sea, a beast with 7 horns with 10 diadems, which is 10 crowns. The leopard, feet, bears, lion mouth. Dragon gives him power, and then he'll have a fatal wound, and he will be resurrected. Who does that? Who is he copying?
Oh, Satan always has a counterfeit for God.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you compare Daniel 8:19, and I'll just go there real quick and read that to you, to 11:36 about indignation, 8:19. He said, behold, I'm going to let you know what will occur at the final period of indignation, for it pertains to the appointed time of the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then 11:36 is, then the king will do as he pleases, and he will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and will speak monstrous things against the God of God, and he will prosper until the indignation is finished. For what he is decreed will be done. What is this indignation?
Mhm. The
The
NIV
wrath-
says the
the-
time of wrath.
yeah.
Time of wrath, yeah.
So it's the same indignation, that the time of wrath when God he has finished with everything, and his wrath is like, how you say it, at the time of the end.
Yeah, at the
That
end of,
is-
does anybody remember the 7th trumpet? Does anybody remember offhand what that does? I will tell you, but
I read it, but I don't.
yeah, the
remember.
doors of heaven are shut.
Uh-huh.
Wayne Barber says, when you take Revelation and Precept, he says he thinks that that's, God shuts the door so he can cry, because then the bowls are going to be poured out.
Yeah,
Mm.
those bowls. Oof.
That's where everybody wants the rapture to be real, so that we can get out of this stuff. This punishment will have a time limit until the punishment from God is complete. This is talking about mainly, I think, the 7-year tribulation, when the wrath of God is poured out on the earth. And Daniel is told what will happen during this punishment. The Antichrist will have his way until the indignation is finished, for that which is decreed will be done. Now, the thing about Daniel, can you see he had all these prophecies and every single one of them came true to the day even.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you see how astonishing that is?
Yes.
It's still yet to come, is it not?
And he was just told to go his own way or something like that at the end. Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah, but Daniel was a righteous man and he was really asking God, tell me what's going to happen. What's going to happen to my people, or
Mm-hmm.
your people?
Yeah.
So do you think the Antichrist could be part of God's indignation?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, that's weird, isn't it?
Mhm. Yes.
No,
he-
God turns us over and allows us to follow whatever our will is. And the
Yes.
Antichrist is the epitome of us wanting to be godlike.
In Revelation.
It's that whole pattern. And so he follows through with the pattern of what people will. That goes back to our selfishness.
Yeah, but God
Yeah.
does give us free will, right?
Kindness. That's just the way I see it. I don't know if that's correct.
Man,
Well,
it's pouring.
he wanted to be like God at the beginning, and
Oh, he wanted to be God.
yeah, he wanted to be God. So he assaulted himself, and that's why he fell from the grace of God. And since that time, he messed up with God.
There'll be a time, it just confounds me how God still allows him to go up in heaven to accuse us.
Mm-hmm.
But there'll be a time when he's not allowed in heaven any
Allowed.
longer.
Yeah.
Oh, he's down,
The doors of heaven will shut.
Yeah,
and he will be thrown into the abyss.
Mhm.
eventually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you come under temptation to exalt yourself, what keeps you from falling for it?
Mm-hmm.
Remember my history.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
And when I was called for me.
That's really good. I like that.
sometimes I realize it's self-interest not to get into my pride, like blaming somebody else, for something that, a circumstance or something, and just to keep myself feeling proud of myself. But, that it's not my self-interest to do that.
Yeah. I mean, you
I
figured
just-
that
I-
one out.
I just think that it's not about me. It's all about God. And
Uh-huh.
we have to give him the glory for everything that we do, because he is the one who is working, using us. It's not us. It's all him. So I
That's
think
hard
about
for
that.
us in the society. It's hard for us to do that, though, isn't it? It kind of
Well,
goes against the world, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if you have
So
to
what?
have that boldness,
So
because
what?
of like stopping in Walmart one time, there was this lady asking for medications and stuff, and I look at her and I was drawn to her. And then I said, "May I pray for you?" And she said, "Sure." And I prayed right there and then in Walmart with everybody walking, and I didn't care. I just wanted to pray for that lady because she touched my heart in a way. I don't know. She looked so weak, and so I pray for her. And I give the glory to God, because me, with my broken English and talking in English to a lady and praying for her, that was hard for me, but it wasn't about me.
That's great. Day 4, we looked at the everlasting kingdom. If a friend asked you what you've learned and you could only answer in a few phrases or sentences, what would you say? What is the everlasting kingdom?
would
There will
say.
be no pain.
That's a good one, right?
Uh-huh.
Eternity.
Well, what's eternity?
Well, eternity can be good or can be bad. It depends where the people is going. I would say that we have to be prepared for the coming of the Lord because it's sooner that what we think it is. And we need to humble ourselves and trust in God. Trust in God and put your eyes in God because his return is sooner than later.
On page 226, there's a little suitcase there. It says, come on, have a little jump of joy. What excites you most as you consider the view of the coming kingdom?
To be with Jesus in person and see those that went before me, like my dad, my mom. I can't wait to see them in heaven, praising God. So to me, that's just to be with Jesus. I just can't, it's just to be with, I cannot imagine.
What will the kingdom be like? What excites you about that?
The kingdom is going to be a kingdom of peace, of love, of you don't have to worry about anything. Like he said that the lamb will be with the lion and all this, the lion is going to eat grass like the ox. They're not going to go against us anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's going to be a total peace.
And
Go ahead,
rest,
Nancy, and rest.
rest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, what I thought was there's no strife.
Yeah.
I'm just looking so forward to that.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
That's rest.
Our human nature will be gone.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like not to have sin in our hearts anymore?
Yes.
I just
Oh
can't
my
imagine.
God. Oh God. That'd be
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah, I had peace and love will be here finally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much, we did that. On day 5, eternity. Okay. If you look at it, this is the start of the tribulation, the end of tribulation. You have 3.5 years of peace. That's when the Antichrist is coming in and he's going to look like what's he going to look like?
Handsome.
Savior.
A savior, an angel. He's gonna be a nice king. Beautiful king.
He's going to bring peace to the world. Isn't that something? But then what happens at the halfway mark?
That's when he reveals himself.
Yes, he does reveal himself. The 2 witnesses of what's going on, we'll go into all that deeper next week. And then in Matthew 24 through 15 through 28 describes the Great Tribulation as what a lot of people call it. That's when they think that the bowls are going to be poured out.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Armageddon, and I've been to Armageddon. There's been more blood spilt in that piece of land in all of history than any other place on earth.
Mm-hmm. Now, I got a confusion here because in the end of tribulation, that's when the millennium starts.
That when Jesus comes to, he will set his foot down on the.
But doesn't the Armageddon comes after the devil is released?
This doesn't have.
Okay. Well, if this is the dispensational viewpoint, okay, because there's a lot of viewpoints out there, right? This is just the one that we're looking at this time, but they're saying 1,000 years Christ will be here running things with a rod of iron. Satan will be tied up in the abyss.
Yes.
He won't be thrown in the fire yet, but the Antichrist and the false prophet will be in the fire. So they'll be gone. And for 1,000 years, there'll be many generations born during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of 1,000 or at an end of a time, they will let Satan out again to deceive the world.
Yeah.
and he will be here for a short time. We have no idea how long a short time is.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally God, huh?
When
and if-
does the Spirit leave?
Well, that's when they're talking about the rapture, that the Spirit is within us.
Okay,
And if we're taken out of here, then the Holy Spirit's not on earth anymore.
Mm-hmm.
all right.
It will, and a lot of people think that at that time the Holy Spirit will work like it used to before Christ, where it only came upon people.
Mm. For a period of time to that will anoint them.
Yeah, because because you're going to have 112 how many? 12 tribes. There's going to be 12 tribes. There's going to be so many, 144,000 evangelists going throughout the world. And then also before this halfway point, there'll be 2 witnesses, which they say, could be Moses and Elijah, or it could be, there's all sorts of different viewpoints on who it's going to be, that will be doing wonders in Jerusalem, and then the Antichrist will kill them.
Whatever you do, God, He's going to be with you.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be, I mean, if we live through it, can you imagine with all the knowledge that we have, when you're just sitting there looking at it and go, oh my word. But according to Revelation 21, which is, there's only 22 chapters, right? Oh yeah, I was right. 1 through 6. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. I mean, what will no longer exist in the new heaven and earth?
The old earth and the old earth.
No sea.
No sea. Yeah.
I know. Can't figure that one out. Can you?
No.
Tears, death, mourning.
Yep.
The holy city comes down from heaven.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It says, behold, the tabernacle of God is among men, and he will dwell among them, and they shall be his people, and God himself will be among them.
Wow, man.
Denise, you said what won't exist in the new heaven and new earth? Sin won't exist. Evangelism won't exist.
That's right. No more tears,
Sorrow and tears. All
no
going
mourning or crying or pain. All these things have passed away.
There's this gentleman that lost his wife recently. He was preaching a sermon and he said, I have one shot to do this right, because I will not be able to preach from a sea of pain when I'm in heaven. It will be gone. So this is my gift to the Lord.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
Because once He's there.
But I love it that it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give to the one who thirsts from the spring of water of life without cost.
That's awesome. That just shows us that he's always been in control from the beginning to the end. He already had a map of everything, and he always been in control. So we have to trust that he's gonna be there for us no matter what. If we have to go pre or in the middle, or if we're gonna be through everything, God is gonna be helping us because we belong to him.
Amen.
Very good.
I mean, we know the end. What kind of strength does that give you?
The God is there. God is being, and he always being.
Well, it's kind of hard to see what's going on in the world, and you sit there and go, how much longer can this go on?
No,
I
it's
don't know.
gonna
Every
get
year,
worse. It's
every
gonna get
year
worse
I
and
go,
worse.
how can it get any worse than it is? And then the next year
Yeah.
it gets worse.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
you see, I mean, who thought that children would go get their sex changed? Come on.
God.
I think that has a lot to do with the parents too.
Well,
Mhm.
not only that, they're getting it done without their parents knowing it.
Some are.
And they're allowed to do it, even their
Connie left.
names.
Miranda left too. Where's
After
my
start-
West Coast people?
Oh, that lady that said that her son went to change his name.
I'm
Mhm.
still here.
I'm
Oh,
still
yeah.
here.
Okay, Ray. He's in Washington, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm a West Coast person.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, you're there. Okay. I mean, isn't it crazy?
Oh, try California. I heard the governor promoting
California.
abortion.
And my friend is a kindergarten teacher, and she is supposed to teach sex ed in a
Oh,
graphic manner. And she's like, I'm still
Ah.
working on getting them to wash their hands with soap and wipe their rear ends out using the
oh
restroom.
my
I
gosh.
can't, I can't, I can't quantify my teaching time to do multiple sex ed conversations that are inappropriate when they don't use soap to wash their hands. She's like, we have like a whole personal hygiene unit just at the very beginning. And she said, it takes me like the first solid month to get to know to flush the toilet paper into the toilet. Like, because some kids have
Or
never
to
been
use
in
the toilet
school
paper.
and how to use the toilet paper. Like she literally said, she's like, I don't have time for the inappropriate sexual acts, let alone like, you know, the basics I have to get through, like cleanliness. You know, she's just sick with the curriculum for kindergarten
Mm.
Oh, my
Mm.
in
goodness.
California.
That's awful.
it
Yeah.
seems a huge problem we have is we're asking kids to be not kids anymore.
Yeah.
And giving them-
Exactly.
taking responsibility or having to know stuff, the kids just shouldn't even have to know. They shouldn't have to consider.
Right.
Exactly. Kids should be able to like play with finger paint and Legos. And there's now like a whole curriculum for kindergartners. It's not paint and playtime. At 5 years old, they need to play with markers and trucks and use their imagination.
Yes.
Bless your heart.
I know it is. Don't you just cry for these children
Oh, absolutely.
and your parents, you know, that have to deal with this every day. You
Mhm.
shouldn't even, I mean, you're trying to figure out how to get them dressed and make sure they have food on the table.
Yeah.
Mm.
I found this.
Well, one thing about California, and I can't speak for other places in the West Coast or other countries or other states, I mean, but at least in California, my friend's class specifically, they serve breakfast, snack, lunch, and snack. So
And send home dinner with them.
because of like the disadvantaged economic, like socioeconomically, they're disadvantaged, they have more time for food. And like she said, she's like, I'm still trying to teach them how to eat, how to make sure they've got a bag packed for food to go home if they get there and they're starving because they haven't eaten since yesterday. She's like, I have to teach them to go to the bathroom, how to use the bathroom, how to wash their hands, how to do all this stuff. She's like, I don't have time in my day to teach them all this other stuff.
Oh, it's
Great.
unlimited nonsense.
It is.
You know, if you look at the bigger picture, though, it seems like the bigger problem is parents are not teaching these children. They should know all that stuff.
They should know. My children knew all that stuff before they even entered school.
Well, you have parents though that are actually working more than one job just to survive.
Yes, especially in California.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So expensive to live there.
Yes.
Yeah, I did some research on where all this came from. And the people that were trying to get it into our government attached to funding have been trying they started back in Clinton's era.
Well, they started
And they-
before then.
Before then, but they've been trying to get it through. And it finally got through with our latest Secretary of Education with Trump. And so now it's in the school system, but it's been going on for a long time.
What are we talking about?
And we're just seeing the results of it.
Mm.
Well, different states have different rules.
Yeah, but that's how it got through. And so it's something that we just were not aware of, that it was happening.
I like this. There's the 7 trumpets.
Mhm.
We'll kind of go over this more next week.
Mhm.
But if you've ever heard of the end times, this is Revelation. When you read a Revelation, if you've never read it before, there are certain chapters that are called interlude chapters.
Mhm.
Those are chapters that say, well, this is what's going on in the background. Okay.
Mhm.
But you have your 7 seals, your 7 trumpets, and your 7 plagues or bowls, is what a lot of people say. And the seals, are pretty bad. And then the 7th one of each one of these seals calls in the next set. Like the 7th seal calls in the 7 trumpets.
Mhm.
Okay. And then the 7th trumpet calls in the 7 plagues or the 7 bowls.
Mhm.
And then at the end of that, everything's just finally just blown up, I guess. I don't know, just all these different things. So that you can see pollution happen,
Mhm.
But you see where Satan's born, born, when Jesus stands on the Mount of Olives, it actually splits, and then, it gets pretty dramatic. But there's a judgment day. Now, in your homework, you looked at these judgments. Did anybody learn anything that they didn't know before?
Mhm.
You just knew it all already?
Yeah.
I was reminded.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah. I was
I was
reminded.
confused.
You were confused. Yeah,
I
but well,
gotta-
she puts a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look at it some more.
Yeah.
That is kind of the one thing that's good about the precepts is, it takes 2 years to do it, but you take it slow,
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love 1,000 years lives ample time for many generations. Christ will not force them to believe any more than he has forced us to believe.
Mm.
Christ will rule over all nations with an iron scepter, so
Mhm.
none will openly rebel. An undisclosed segment of the population, however, will refuse to allow him to reign over their hearts. They will stand as proof that all man's rebellion and waywardness cannot be blamed on the enemy.
Yeah.
He will be bound, and yet numbers will still be too proud to give their Jesus their hearts.
Mhm.
What did you write down on the next sentence? What does it say about man?
He's foolish in his pride.
Mhm.
Very rebellious.
Yeah. I like Jeremiah. I think it's 17:9 or 19 or something. The heart is deceitful beyond all measure. Who can understand that?
Yep.
When I read that scripture, I go, we lie to ourselves. We
Mhm.
deceive our own selves better than anybody else. Andy Stanley says we are our best salesmen to ourselves
I like that.
because we know what we'll buy.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
one of the big things that you learned if you studied this and read through this, I hope you did, you will be either at the Bema seat, judgment
Mhm.
seat of Christ,
Yes.
or you'll be at the white throne judgment. What did you learn about the white throne?
Is for the deeds. Is when you. It's not really. It's a judgment, but not for punishment. It's a judgment for the deeds.
No.
And the. I'm saying it backwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is
Yep.
the white throne.
The white throne
Okay.
at the
Okay.
at the bottom of page 229, the dead were judged according to what they had done as recorded
Yes.
in the books.
Yes.
All right. This is the one you don't want to be at because that
That's
will be
right.
determine your punishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
One's for punishment, one's for rewards.
Yeah. The other
So-
one, you'll be judged for your rewards.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, and I wish I could do this physically, but it'll be like you'll go over this beam and this fire shoots up, and whenever you've done that was really good will turn into jewels, or it'll be good stuff. Otherwise, you just have a bunch of hay burn up.
Mhm.
I want some jewels there. Is anybody with me?
Yes.
Mhm.
I want those jewels. I mean, and we'll have crowns and we give it all back to Jesus. That's not the point. I
Yeah.
want to know that I did some good in the world.
Yeah.
That I made a difference.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, that I'd let his glory flow through me.
Yep.
I think that is
You don't
so
remember.
important to understand because it is so hard to live in this world, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We really need God.
Denise, I'm taking this class and it's a new kind of class. It's called Grandparenting Matters. I don't know if you've heard of it,
Mm-mm.
but it is so awesome. Here, I'll show you a picture of the title here.
Okay.
But it just talks about how we make an impact to the fourth generation. And even if you're not a grandparent and the people who you work with, you're affecting 4 generations. And it's just a really great, powerful class because it makes you realize it's all about being an intentional grandparent and instilling Christianity in your grandchildren for the down to the 4th generation, and not walking away like this world wants you to believe that when you retire, that you're supposed to live a life of luxury. That's what they sell you out there. You retire, you go and do, instead of instilling more in your grandchildren, like the Bible calls, up to the 4th generation, your children's children. It's it's biblical. And it's really a good class. I'm learning a lot about our impact. So
So how
that's
do we
what made
find,
me think of it.
how do we
Kathy?
find, how do we find that book or that class?
I know. Well, here it's, let's see. It's by Legacy Coalition Presents. It's the Legacy Coalition. And a lot of people, the one gentleman who started this looked, and none of the churches are teaching anything about grandparenting and all the things he brings out. And now it's starting to grow because people are realizing we need to invest in the next generations. And even if you don't have your own biological grandchildren, there are people there that are, people that they've led to Christ, that, that's going to impact down to the 4th generation. So it just makes you realize being intentional when we're dealing with people. But if you go to that,
And I can say that it does impact generationally when grandparents are not intentional. Grandparents' sin
yes,
definitely affects grandchildren's sin and lives because that's what they've seen modeled.
yes, exactly. I mean, we really, and this world wants to take it away. They want you to believe that once you have your grandchildren and you retire, you go live a life of luxury and travel, and you walk away. You're done. You've done your job. That's what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
So,
Kathy,
what
have you
was-
done your job?
What was that website? What was that website?
it's Legacy Coalition Presents Grandparenting Matters. I don't know. Can you see this? I've tried to put it up on the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a really,
The website is legacycoalition.com because I looked it up. It's legacycoalition.com.
oh, thank you.
How do you spell coalition? I'm terrible.
COALITION. Coalition.
I don't know how to spell. I'm
I'm
terrible.
So
Thank God for Google spell check.
I love it too.
I remember this is just a funny point. In my very last semester in college, it was in 1985. Okay. Took me 10 years to graduate from college, but I took accounting in computers and accounting. Okay. My teacher taught me, my advisor taught me into taking it. I didn't want to take it because he was the teacher and he was really hard. But I'm glad I took it. But I remember learning about WordStar. Does anybody remember WordStar? That was one of the first word processors out there.
Yep.
And it had spell check. The reason my GPA was only, like a B average, really low B, okay, was because I couldn't spell. And they counted off for spelling errors.
oh,
Mhm.
Okay, back in the old days, and so I miss A's because of spelling.
Wow.
Well, you had an A on the paper, but you had so many spelling and errors, we knocked it down to a B minus, I mean, I was that bad. Okay. Anyway, so I went to my teacher and I said, now you teach me in my very last semester of class when I don't have to write any papers. Thank you very much. He laughed at me because he was one of them that I didn't get an A because of my spelling errors. Sorry, that was awful. But technology is a wonderful thing. Look at, we're being able to have this class, I don't know what's going to happen next year. I've got to take the first part of the year, probably a good 6 months off at the first next year because we have so many things that we have to take care of that we don't have time. So I cannot set any dates. I'll try to do 1 or 2 classes next year. I just don't know what they will be. It'll probably be 1st, 2nd, 3rd John for one thing, but I don't know what else the Lord will lead me to. He always drags me, so we'll just see what happens. Okay.
Well, thank you
Denise.
for everything you
Denise.
do.
Well,
Hi, Denise.
you're welcome.
Denise, I still have a question.
Yes, Kelly. Hi,
For
Kelly.
the Great White Throne, I'm confused because is it for both the lost and the saved, or just for the wicked?
It's just for the
dead, or-
lost, the people that did not turn their hearts over to God.
Okay, so
The unbelievers.
believers
lost.
will not be there.
Oh yeah, the unbelievers will be there, but the believers will not be there.
Okay.
Do you really want to see what happens to the people that hurt you?
No. No.
That's a hard question, isn't it?
No.
Mm.
I don't want anything to do with them.
We'll know who's there by who's not with us. And there's different times of judgment, and there's all sorts of debate of when this judgment happens or that judgment happens, or is it before the millennium, and I can't say that word, or after the 1,000 years, or it's like just know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to be at the white throne room. That's where the punishment is handed out for. And to think about all your deeds are written down somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah, that's scary.
Is it not?
Yes.
Well, the good and the bad.
Except that
The
once you
bad-
believe,
That is washed away.
it's
with
washed
the-
away by the
with the
blood of
blood.
Christ.
God. Thank you, God.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I mean, that's why I got, upset when you think about what God has done for you, when you really think of it, of how wicked I used to be. I don't know about y'all, but I was pretty wicked. Seriously wicked. Seriously wicked. But he changed me.
Thank God. Thank God.
So Denise, how is Linda Milhorn's husband doing?
Last report I got, he had pulled out of it. He
Oh,
will,
good.
yeah, they're looking for a transitional location here in Jackson,
Mhm.
because he's going to have dialysis. His kidneys have shut down. But they got his blood pressure under control. But he's, I think, 82 now. He's just not doing real well. And I don't know
Right.
how much more Linda can take. I'm sorry, Kathy, I didn't hear that.
I'm saying that's looking young.
She's losing the internet. She's out in the country, So I like that grandparenting idea.
It's really, and they have some books out too that go along with the person that had started this, but it's, they're trying to do it in the churches because, well, it's just so good. I've only taken 2 sessions, but what I've seen so far is just really, really.
Is it like a class situation like this sort of thing, or?
It's on a seminar that we go to the church and they play it. So, but I think you can do it online as well. So like you
Okay.
could bring it into your church, but it is really, really good because it's an area that the church just really doesn't. It's all about parenting and ministry with kids, but not about grandparenting. And he really brings a lot of things in. Well, so far with the 2 sessions I've done, I think it's, how many sessions is it? Looks like it's 5 sessions.
That's reasonable too. You know, you can get people to commit to 5 or 6 sessions.
Oh, and the books here, the books that follow on are by Josh Mulvihill at legacychurchgrowth.org, and that they have biblical parenting and grandparenting books. So he wrote books, realizing that there aren't any books out there. I mean, it's just incredible. It's kind of like nothing has been really talked about when we're gone and over. But it biblically, it talks about your children's children, and that's the first thing they bring up, that it is biblical. We are responsible.
So Denise, right now, that legacy churchgrowth.org has that DVD series on special for $25, and the workbook is $5 on special.
Oh,
so it's
awesome.
very reasonable right now
Yes.
to go to that legacy website.
I might have to get that because I'm thinking about if, I'm checking it out. And of course I have to have it approved by our priest, but our church would just eat that stuff up.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it was right because I have my grandchildren at least 2 to 3 times a day, and I've got them captive in the car. so, so I think
You're lucky. We don't get to see our grandchildren very much.
But he also addresses that too. He addresses the grandparents who only see him once a year, and how people write it off. Well, only once a year. No,
but they love their grandparents and they want to learn and glean from them so bad. I know when we see our grandchildren, I mean, they just,
oh, I know.
It's a love. Yeah.
And that's an opportunity.
It's a desire to be noticed. Kids are so unnoticed. And we all just want people to know we're here, and acknowledge our presence. So.
Yeah, I tell my little grandgirls who are now taller than me, 10 and 12, and they're taller than me. Of course, anybody can be taller than me. But, they just love it. I said, I told you to quit growing. And they just, just things like that, I go, I'm going to have to talk to God about that because you should not be taller than me, not taller than that. And they just, oh, Nana.
Yeah. And I could see like a little offshoots of support groups of grandparents giving little tidbits of things that you just said or things that I've done and, getting ideas on how we can do it, and those little times that we have.
Yeah. So, or, like saying, oh, do you think you're a Goliath or a David today? I mean, just, what are you talking about, Nana? Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story, and you just tell stories,
Perfect.
And I mean, that's the kind of things I try to do. But with the girls, at least, I mean, they're real Christian. Now, my other grandchild, they're okay. They live in Washington, Ray. And they just have, I mean, they go to church, but I think it's just so they can hear themselves sing. Yeah. Does anybody know what I'm saying when I say that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have the daughter who doesn't believe in church, even though she was raised around it. 2 of the other ones are solid Christians, but the grandchildren are from hers. So they want to go to church, but can't.
Yeah. So, I tell you, though, I have seen a lot of grandmothers go and pick up their grandkids and take them to church every Sunday.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
If the parents allow, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I had them in VBS and she pulled them after 2 days. So, but they got 2 days. I'm not going to be discouraged. They got 2 days.
And you can still tell them those stories.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And every opportunity. I get a lot of time with them. So I figured, God is good. Wherever they get the message,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I'm going to close up for now. Thank you so much for that information.
Love you.
Okay. Love you too. Read
Take
Revelation.
care.
It's so
Yes,
interesting
ma'am.
and it makes no sense whatsoever. So don't worry about that, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
We'll try to put it together a little bit next
Okay.
week, okay? How does that sound for closing up for Daniel?
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Dennis.
you. God bless.
Don't
God
forget
bless
to
you
pray
all.
before you
All right,
read.
bye, everybody.
Yeah, really.
Bye.
Thank you, Ann. Yeah. Pray.